Rockin' 101. Let's call Lita Ford.
Hello, Minnesota.
Hello, Lita Ford. How are you today?
I'm good.
I'm excited to talk to you. I can't tell you how much I've looked forward to this interview.
Thank you.
This is Paladin. I do Afternoon Drive here on Rockin' 101, and we've got a big show for you coming up. Looks like on July 18th at Prior Lake, the Lakefront Music Festival with Daughtry, Night Ranger, and LA Guns. Wanted to get that right off the bat out there so everybody knew, and whatever else you want to promote, that's my first priority, to make sure you get everything out there that you want to talk about before I even start in.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Got a book coming out next year in March. We pushed it back. We had to change a couple of things, and then on the waiting list to be distributed. HarperCollins, they have other artists, so they do one artist at a time. So we picked March. We figured it'd be out of the way of the holidays. Otherwise, it was November or October. Mm-hmm. We thought, no, that's too close to the holidays. So let's just let the holidays go by, and then we'll release the book. And we're working on a new album. So next year is going to be quite a busy year for us.
Sounds like it. There's so much to talk about here. So you got the new album, you got the new book, you got the big date. But I'm kind of curious if you're okay with me digging back into your history here, if that's okay with you.
The Runaways.
Well, that was my first thought, yeah.
Driving me crazy.
I know, because obviously there was the movie and there was the documentary that I saw. I'd like to hear your take on how this all came about and how you got brought into it.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for asking me first. I got a phone call from a journalist who just started screaming at me about the Runaways, and I had no idea what he was talking about. I hadn't read the tabloids, and I didn't know what was going on. He just started screaming at me. I'm like, dude, you got a serious issue. Well, honestly, I was not there when this happened, as Jackie says it did, so I really can't tell you much. When you do read my book, you'll see that I never really hung out with Joan or Cherie. Uh-huh. And whatever went on between Joan and Cherie kind of stayed between Joan and Cherie. Scott Anderson, who was the manager, along with Kim Fowley. But Scott went on the tour with us. So if anybody knew anything, it would have been Scott, Cherie, and Joan. And Scott now has passed away, along with Kim Fowley. But I do know that Jackie's not a liar. Mm-hmm. And if she says that somebody was watching her, and if she says that this happened, then I believe her, you know? I do. She's a little extreme sometimes, but it's just not right. So I really don't know what to say about it. I wasn't there, and no one told me about it. This is the first I've heard of it.
I was actually going to ask you how you got involved in the Runaways to begin with.
How did I get into the Runaways? Let's go there.
Okay, that's safer.
I like that even better. Well, I got a phone call from Kim Fowley, and Kim and I talked for ages on the phone. He gave me the rap of a lifetime. Told me I was going to be a rock star, and I was going to date the biggest rock stars out there, and dress in the finest clothes, and tour all over the world. I mean, he made it sound so juicy that I couldn't resist. Mm-hmm. So I talked to my mom and dad after I got home, and I said, Mom, this guy's weird. But I told her what he said, and she said, Lita, with her thick Italian accent, she said, you go to the audition, and you see. You go see. So I thought, well, if my mother and father are giving me the thumbs up, you know, usually your mom and dad tell you to stay away from freaks.
That's the usual, yeah.
But they knew I was a good guitar player because my parents were really my biggest fans. Mm-hmm. She and my dad were just, oh, Lita, play the Black Sabbath. Play me the Black Magic Woman. They wanted to hear me play all the time. So they knew I was a real guitar player. Mm-hmm. And when I got the call from Kim Fowley, they believed that I would get the audition for this all-girl band that he was talking so highly about.
Very cool. Actually, how did Kim find out about you to begin with? How did your name get circulated?
Well, I lived about an hour out of Hollywood. I had never been to Hollywood before. I lived in the suburbs in a little town called Long Beach. and went to school and met some kids in school that had put together a band, and they had a show, and their bass player couldn't make the show. So they said, "You, Lita, you play bass?" I said, "No, I don't." And they said, "Yeah, well, you play guitar, right?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, it's just 2 less strings." And I thought, well, all right. They said, "You do the show." I thought, okay, I'll do the show. So I did the show. Next thing I know, word got out that there was this girl bass player in Long Beach that could really play.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting phone calls from friends, and phone calls from Kim Fowley actually called and said, "We need a bass player."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I don't play bass." I said, "Why does everybody think I play bass?" It was starting to get on my nerves. So I said to Kim, "I don't play bass, I play guitar." And he said, "Well, we need one of those, too."
While I'm assembling.
Yeah. Yeah. So word got out by just this freak band. I don't even remember who the guys were in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember. They were just a 3-piece band that needed a bass player, and their bass player couldn't make it that night. Probably had dinner with the in-laws or something,
Something really priority, yeah. Well, it worked out well for you, obviously. Sort of just all started down the mountain like the proverbial snowball. Your primary influences when you were a kid, it says here Ritchie Blackmore really made an impact on you. Were there other artists as well, or was he kind of the one?
Oh, Ritchie Blackmore was my favorite. He was my favorite guitar player. He ruled, and the way he moved and the way he played and picked, and he was just wicked. I loved Tony Iommi as well for his riffs. He was really, at the time, in the early days, he was the riff master. And it was so heavy. The music was so powerful and so heavy and dark. I just loved it. Dark, heavy, powerful, And then they had the US Festival. I was about 14, and I told my mom I was going to spend the night with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend told her mom she was going to spend the night with me.
Yeah.
And we stuck out our thumbs, and we hitchhiked about 60 miles, maybe 70 miles, to Ontario Motor Speedway, which is where they had the US Festival. And Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, Emerson, Lake and Palmer were there. Emerson, Lake and Palmer headlined that night. Then Deep Purple and Black Sabbath went on. Black Oak, Arkansas, Seals and Crofts. I mean, just really bizarre. But my favorite bands at the time were Black Sabbath and Deep Purple. 250,000 people.
Wow.
I mean, this was the day when festivals were festivals.
Right,
full blown. So we went, me and my girlfriend, and of course we were too young to get in. So we found a hole in the fence. And we crawled through this hole, and we went out. We watched the entire show. We got there just before dusk. So we missed most of the heat of the day and watched this festival, which was awesome. Ritchie Blackmore put a headstock of his guitar into this television camera. Probably, I don't know, back then they're huge cameras, and they're probably $250,000 camera, and he just rammed his headstock right through the lens.
Oh, no.
Oh, and that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Very cool. Have you followed him with Blackmore's Night? That's probably quite an extreme difference in musical taste, but I didn't know if you've kept up with him recently.
I have not, but I've heard rumors that Deep Purple are coming back.
I saw that on Facebook. I'm hoping that that's true. That would be nice. I missed them.
Oh, I hope so.
You have quite a story around Tony Iommi. Talk to me about Tony Iommi, because there's a lot of different chapters in your life that he seems to be involved in.
I met Tony while I was on tour with Blackmore's Rainbow. We had 2 weeks break in the tour where we went over to Germany and toured with Sabbath. And that's when I met Tony. And, of course, we hit it off right away and exchanged phone numbers. And he said he came to L.A. a lot and that he would call me when he came to Los Angeles. And he did. And we were engaged for a couple of years. And things didn't work out.
Sorry that it didn't work out. There's a lot of bittersweet in the story when I was reading about it in your situation there. And now what's the situation with Tony? Were you together when you were putting together The Bride Wore Black?
We were were together, but he did not produce anything. He was just my boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
It sounds kind of funny to say. Tony Iommi was my boyfriend. He was just my boyfriend. That's all it was. He didn't write anything. He didn't produce anything. You'll read it in the book, I'm sure.
The book will be fun. Apparently, that record, we'll never see it. There's a couple different stories as to why, but obviously, I'm getting misinformation here, so I'll talk to you about it straight.
The Bride Wore Black?
Mm-hmm.
It was never finished.
I see.
Got shelved.
Fair enough. How did you end up running into Sharon Osbourne? Because this was a big resurgence in your career here back in 1988.
Yeah, Sharon was just hot stuff at the time, and God, I wanted a female manager so bad.
Uh-huh.
I had been through so many managers, including through the Runaways days, and none of them seemed to click. I always felt like they were shady, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a female manager, somebody who understood me as a female, because at the time, there really weren't hardly any female artists out there at all.
Right.
Other than the Go-Go's, Bangles, there really wasn't many other female artists. So I was pretty much one of a kind, and so was Sharon. She was one of a kind. Other than Gloria Butler, Geezer Butler's wife, there really wasn't any other female managers out there. So I thought, God, how do I get in touch with her? What do I say? What do I do? I was sitting at the bar with a friend of mine at the Queen Mary in Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And we were drinking Bloody Marys and doing oyster shooters. And I said to him, how do I reach Sharon? And he said, just pick up the phone and call her. And I thought, yeah, just pick up the phone and call her. So I did. I picked up the phone, gave her a call, got her on the phone. At the time, Ozzy was the number one male rock vocalist, and I was number one female rock vocalist. So I asked Sharon, would she be interested in managing me? And she said yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. I was like, whoa, awesome. I was so happy that day.
That's very exciting. And of course, it led to your biggest hit ever, the one with Ozzy. Very, very, very touching ballad. What was the motivation for that? Did you actually have something you were trying to say with that? Because it's kind of dark.
I don't know, because Ozzy wrote most of the lyrics.
Oh, I see.
On that. But I really don't know. I think Ozzy was going through some turmoil with Sharon,
mm-hmm. and
it was pretty heavy duty. They were arguing a lot, and I think if you listen to the lyrics, it says in a roundabout way, would you still love me? Would you ever forgive me? Will you ever trust me again?
Mm-hmm.
Will you love me until I'm dead, until the day I die? Pretty much is what the song is about.
Okay.
I close my eyes forever, will it all remain the same? Will you ever trust me?
It was more reaching out to her, trying to touch her heart there with it?
Well, I don't think he told her. I think it was more in his head than actually going home and saying, Sharon, I wrote you a song. It was more like what he was feeling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for Ozzy because I don't know what he was feeling at the time, but I believe that that's what the song's about. So, again, when you read the book, you'll understand. And
what's the title of the book? Is it already named?
Living Like a Runaway.
Ah, awesome. Apparently, Nikki Sixx has found his way into your bio here with the song Falling In and Out of Love. He co-wrote that with you, is that true?
Oh, yeah.
How was that?
Well, Nikki and I dated each other a couple years. We were buddies. We were friends. I'd stay with him in Hollywood, and we'd go out and get drunk and mess around and get in trouble.
Yeah.
We were pretty good at that.
Uh-huh.
And he came to the studio when we were recording the Lita album. This studio, you have to see the studio. It's got lots of little rooms and little cracks and crevices, and very, very cool studio. And this one room had a piano in it. You know, like those square pianos that they play in the bars?
Mm-hmm.
It fits right up against the wall.
Yeah, the upright one.
Yeah. It had one of those pianos in there, and me and Nikki went in, and we just started banging around on the piano, and we came out with Falling In and Out of Love.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a great song, too. We could play it live now. We'll play it in Minnesota.
That'll be good. Looking forward to that show. Looks like you actually, at one time, had current Guns N' Roses guitarist Ron Bubblefoot Thal aboard your group. How was that?
Ron was actually on hold while he was with me. Axl had him on a salary and had him on hold. But Ron said to me, Lita, I've been waiting for a year and a half. And I'm like, oh, my God. So he's got the band on a salary for a year and a half, and they're just sitting there doing nothing. So I said, well, why don't you just come and play with me for a little while you're waiting? And he did. So it was awesome.
Very cool.
He's just a real cool guy. Real cool.
Looks like you've made peace with all your runaway friends. Just keep seeing pictures of you and Cherie and Joan all together. So that looks like that's going well.
There was one picture taken of me and Cherie and Joan at the Golden Gods Awards. One picture, and Cherie and I had gone to go see Joan because she was getting an award, and we thought we'd pay our respects. And I hadn't seen Joan in decades. Cherie has, but I hadn't. And when we went in to see Joan, she gave us a T-shirt, took one quick picture, and said goodbye. And that was it. One picture that's circulating around.
No Runaways reunion concerts then in the near future, I suppose. No.
Joan doesn't want anything to do with it, which I think she's wrong, because now is the perfect time, and we would all love to see it now. I think there was a time when they called me and asked me for a Runaways reunion, but it was early 90s. Nirvana was just kicking in, and it was really bad timing. It wouldn't have worked. People would have just turned their nose up at it. But now, to do it now, I think now is the perfect time. And I'm all for it. Cherie was all for it. We never spoke to Jackie about it because we couldn't get Joan's approval. Had we gotten Joan's approval, we would have spoke to Jackie.
It's unfortunate that...
didn't get a yes or a no out of Joan.
Yeah. It's unfortunate about Sandy West. That's a tragedy. Well, I have a question for you, and this is actually one that I wanted to handle very gently. I see here that you are an advocate for the awareness of parental alienation, and there's a whole story that goes into that. I wanted to give you a chance, if you felt comfortable, giving your side of the story, getting your words out there, your take on the whole situation. Unfiltered, unbiased, unprejudiced, straight shooting.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with talking about it. I think it's one reason why I started Facebook is because people need to be aware of what parental alienation is and just how nasty and devastating it is to the child. It is child abuse. It's not physical child abuse, like, Daddy hit me. It's not physical child abuse at all. It's more verbal. And it's verbal child abuse when the parent, I don't know if it's the father or the mother, talks about the other parent. Mommy did this. Mommy did that. Mommy's just, who does she think she is? Look at her. This is the father talking to the child. That child is half daddy and half mommy. So basically what you're doing is you're putting down the child as well as putting down the mother. It affects the child in a huge, huge way, to the point where 9% of all parental alienation cases, the children die.
Oh, no.
From it. I'm just a big advocate in parental alienation. I don't believe it should happen. Our court systems throw fuel on the fire to add to the situation because they're making money. The parents would do anything for their children. They would pay any amount of money for their children. I know I did in my divorce. I sold the house. I sold the cars. I had nothing. I had a roll of toilet paper, I think, by the time I was done with the divorce. I had nothing. The lawyers took it all. And then my ex-husband paid them off, and they gave him custody of the kids when he was the one that was doing the alienation. Basically, it's brainwashing the child against the other parent by saying, you don't want to go with mommy. Mommy's bad. Mommy's going to kill you. Mommy's on drugs. Mommy's got guys coming over all the time. I mean, just anything crazy. People make up these wacky stories, and it affects the child long term. It affects them later in life. It affects their relationships later in life, their marriage, the way they treat their spouse and their kids. It's just a horrible, horrible form of child abuse. The court systems know it, and they use kids to make more money. They don't care about the kids. They don't have the kids' best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to come out of the closet and into the open. Some people say, oh, no, don't talk about parental alienation. Well, I think it needs to be talked about. It needs to be out into the open. And people need to be made aware that your attorney is not working for you. Your attorney's working for your wallet. In a case of family law, and I'm not saying that all attorneys are bad. I'm not saying that all judges are bad. A good amount of them are. And if you're going through a divorce and you have children, don't use the child as the weapon to hurt the other parent.
Mm-hmm.
Leave the kids out of it. You're not divorcing your kids. You're divorcing your ex.
Fair enough.
You know, you see these tabloids where it says, oh, Robert so-and-so is divorcing Julie whatever. And Robert says, you'll never see the kids again. Instantly, they use the kids against them because they know that that's what they love the most in life is their child.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that that is what will hurt them the most is by taking their child away. But it also damages the child for life.
That's horrible, and it's obviously a tragedy. I'm glad you're speaking up about it. I get really excited about folks that use their celebrity status and their passion and use it to basically advocate for causes and make a difference. And that, to me, that's what it's all about. It makes a lot more sense that you've gotten this attention, you've gotten this stage to speak from, and to use it for good. To use your powers for good, I guess you would say, or as Stan Lee might say.
I've got a lot of people on my Facebook. It's called Lita Ford Parental Alienation Awareness Facebook. It's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're having trouble in court and you don't know why, what they do is the court system turns the problem onto the alienated parent. So here you are, first of all, you're alienated from your children. They're not allowing you to see your children. And you've got the court system pointing the finger at you. Usually the ex will come up with some false accusations like, oh, she was driving 110 miles an hour with the kids in the car and she was drunk. I mean, just making up stupid stuff. It didn't happen. So then the courts say, well, we'll have to investigate this. They don't tell you it's going to take a year and a half before they come up with an answer. In the meantime, they suck you dry and blame you for things you didn't do. And the lawyers are getting away with horrible crimes. The lawyers are just getting away with murder, practically.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to come out of the closet. The legal system, they need to put a cork in it. And they know damn well, if anybody's listening, they know damn well what they're doing. My attorney told me at the end of my divorce, she flat out told me, Lita, we all knew you were the only one that didn't.
Wow.
My old attorney's ripping me off. And she had 8 kids. 8.
It's sad.
It's devastating. It's a very devastating thing. I try to keep it separate from rock and roll because I want my music to be my music, and I want parental alienation to be focused mainly on parental alienation and corruption in the legal system and how people are treating their children. I think everyone needs to check out my page.
Definitely. And one more time, what's the page, the syntax on the site?
Yep, it's Lita Ford's Parental Alienation Awareness Facebook.
Very cool. I have one more question, actually, that might be a little bit lighter in mood or tempo. How is your love life these days?
It's good.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. I keep it low. I've got a couple guys I hang with. I just keep it on the down low. I'm digging it. I don't like people telling me what to do. As soon as I hear the words, you know what you need, it's like, yes, I know what I need, and I need you to be gone. You're going to start telling me how to run my life. That I don't need.
Fair
so
enough.
I've got a couple cool guys to hang out with, and that's it for now.
For now. Well,
For now.
should that ever change, hold on to this number.
Okay. I sure will.
That would be awesome. All right, so we've got your big show, July 18th, Prior Lake, Lakefront Music Festivals with Daughtry, Night Ranger, LA Guns, and of course you. It's going to be a smoking set. I'm sure it's going to be amazing and everybody ought to go. You obviously have that site that you mentioned, but do you have other sites that you want to promote? Facebook, Twitter, social media, anything like that?
Oh, yeah. If you go to LitaFordOnline.com, it's connected. All the Twitter and everything's connected off of that site. It's a really cool site. It's actually kind of fun. It's like a TV show, different stuff going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's tour dates on there, videos, all different kinds of info you can get. The Runaways pictures and just all kinds of cool stuff. So, LitaFordOnline.com.
Very cool. And
Official.
Official?
Yeah.
All right, very cool. Oh, hey, one other question. The Black Widow image I keep seeing in your logo, and I think you've got a tattoo on your forearm, right? Where did that come from?
The female Black Widow spider has the hourglass on her belly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I just wondered what the significance in regard to you personally, how you've adopted that.
The female Black Widow eats her lover, devours them, and it's my logo. It's been my logo since I first started out as a solo artist, and I've always used the female Black Widow spider because she's stronger than the male. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I'm stronger than the men. I'm just saying I can play guitar as good as any man. That's what I mean by strength in being a chick. It's just being able to play guitar. And some of them I can put to shame. Therefore, I consider them eaten.
All right. Very cool. That was my one parting question. Well, Lita, I thank you so much for spending this quality time. You're my longest interview ever, so I'm pretty thrilled that you would actually spend this quality time with me and answer even the uncomfortable questions. That was pretty awesome.
You rock.
I enjoyed this so much. I hope we get to talk again.
Yeah, are you coming to the show?
I'm hoping to. If I can make it, if I can get free, I sure would like to go.
I hope so. I'd love to meet you.
Take the handcuffs off and get away from the station. That would be great.
No, bring the handcuffs with you.
Oh, wow. Well, okay.
We may need them.
Very good. I'll look forward to doing that. I won't hold you up any longer. It was sure a lot of fun. Hey, can I get off July 18th? Can you guys make sure I get off July 18th?
Sure.
I think I made it. I think I got it done. So that'll
awesome.
I'll look forward to seeing you out there, and thank you so much for the interview. We'll do it again soon.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.